All right, thank you so much for joining us on our 92nd edition of Lunch Out Loud Ottawa. My name is Nick Bachewski.
And I'm Andrew Miller.
Of course, we're the podcast that talks to the people, places, events, and music that make this city the incredible city that it is. And before we get to our very special guest in our election preview, why don't we check this out? All right, so that was Lemon Cash. That song was Handgun. And of course, they finished third in last week's Big Money Shot. So you're going to be seeing them a lot more in the coming months, probably at the Dragon Boat Festival, where the top three in the Big Money Shot played last year. So
right on. Who took down first place and second?
First, Lionel's.
Oh, right on.
So we played them about 3-4 weeks ago, and we thought they'd be going very good. So they're very good.
And the second?
And Cast in Cadence was finished second. We
haven't had
should have them in a couple weeks as well. So very excellent bands.
Sweet.
All right, so a very big day yesterday in Ottawa. Big thanks to the first responders and Kevin Vickers, the legend of Ottawa now, I guess. And our thoughts and prayers are with the friends and family of Nathan Cirillo. Absolutely. It's a tough day, but we will power on. We are that type of city. So I just hope we don't, like, the Parliament Hill doesn't become like a compound now with heavily guards everywhere. Stop the yoga going on the Parliament Hill on Wednesdays. I don't want that to go, because that's what makes our city unique and our country the incredible safe place that it is. So hopefully just one person doesn't ruin that for everyone.
Yeah.
All right. So we're here today with Jonathan McLeod. So Jonathan is a fellow of the Canadian Council for Democracy and is a writer-editor for the blog The Commons. And he also writes in The Citizen, the Mark, The Politic, Apartment 613, basically anything with politics and city. But I've really enjoyed your website. The blog is stepsfromthecanal.wordpress.com. So thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It's good. We got a big election coming up, and I know in my age group that not many people do show up to vote, and especially not too many people are looking to vote this year because they might think Jim Watson has a total whitewash on the election.
A bit of a landslide.
That's expected. So hopefully with this episode, we're going to get more people interested in their ridings and learn, why it is very important to vote in this election. And we'll talk about some of the interesting people that are running. So we're going to focus in on a few ridings, including Somerset, which I live in, the Rideau Rockcliffe, Rideau Vanier, Kitchissippi, River, Osgood, Gloucester, South Nepean, and then I guess we can touch a bit on Alta Vista, Bay, and Innis as well. How does that sound, Jonathan?
It sounds good.
So it's a slow time of year for you right now.
Yes. It'll. I'm actually kind of looking forward to the 28th or 29th when this kind of slows down.
I bet. So the actual election date is 27th, correct?
It's the 27th, yes.
And it goes from 9 a.m. till 8 p.m.
That sounds right. Yeah.
I know because I am working one of the election.
Are you?
Yeah,
Fantastic.
I've always wanted to do it. My mom's always done it, so I thought that'll be interesting to do
There
it.
you go, follow in her footsteps.
Follow in my mom's footsteps.
So before we get too much into the politics stuff,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about yourself.
What got you into municipal politics?
Well, I'm born and raised in Ottawa, and I've
Yeah.
been writing about politics generally for a number of years now. And the more you follow, the more you see what's going on in the city. And the things that are going on in the city are often those things that most really tangibly affect you on a day-to-day, your day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. But there isn't nearly as much coverage on it as there are the federal and the provincial issues. And I mean, that's understandable. National security, crime and justice issues, those are huge. But just in terms of affecting people, municipal politics, zoning issues, development, all these really sort of boring and mundane seeming issues are quite important. So I started writing a little bit here and there about it on certain issues. I think I started writing about the failed bridge at Kettle Island, and I just found that there's an audience for that, and there's sort of a bit of a gap for that. My editor at the Citizen actually would say that she wants more people writing on municipal topics. So I just sort of drifted into that void.
Oh, right on. So being born and raised in Ottawa, what are some of your favorite things about the city?
What I love the most is probably, and we're talking about it a lot now, the city small town feel. It's definitely a city. It's a large enough city, but there really is that small town feel where so much that's downtown is really closely linked. You can walk around places. You're always running into people that you see. And despite the fact that it's known as a boring city, the city that fun forgot, all these other cliches that get thrown around, there really is a lot going on. And once you start paying attention to some of the smaller activities that are going on in your neighborhood, there's so much going on. People do actually care not just about their city, but about their neighborhoods, that you really can have a good time here and without getting lost in a really large city.
And you've lived in several parts of Ottawa as well.
Oh, I've lived all over. I grew up on Bel Air and Navajo, around Iris, and then moved to the Carlingwood area, then out to Barhaven, Sandy Hill, Centertown, Orleans, and
so you
back center. Now I'm in the Glebe and probably be there for a while.
So the Capital Ward.
Yeah, I'm in Capital, which is one of the least interesting races.
Why is it one of the least interesting races?
That's supposed to be a landslide too, is it? Or?
I imagine it is. David
Really?
Chernyshenko is the sitting councillor, and he really is a strong councillor. He's both great in terms of dealing with people and being responsive to the residents. He also understands what problems are and what issues need to be addressed in the ward, and realizes the political reality of what he can actually get done at City Hall, because he has to work with the mayor and with 22 other councillors. So he's very good at balancing all of these priorities while at the same time being in touch with the community. So he's such a strong community leader that I can't really see anyone knocking him off anytime soon. His main challenger is a man named Scott Blurton, who is a recent grad school grad.
Yeah.
And he seems dedicated. He's working hard. He's got some good ideas. His campaign, since he first launched it, has started to flesh out well. But it's just not there. He's not at the point where he can really challenge him.
Is his campaign slogan "Hurtin' for Blurton"? Always wanted to know that.
Oh.
If I had that last name, that's what I.
He'd probably take it if he did. Yeah, 2018. Let's get that going for 2018.
Get that going.
2018, "Hurtin' for Blurton."
There you go.
I like it.
And so, what are some of your favorite hangout spots? Where will you be watching the election results this year?
Well, I'll be at home for most of it in the normal, boring way. I've got a 9 p.m. deadline to write about. So, polls close at 8. I've got to get something in by 9. After that,
How do you get something in by 9 if you don't know the results by now?
Well, I've got a lot of ideas of what might happen and what the implications are if they do. So I just have to, one of those takes, I just have to translate.
Do like 3 copies and then just wait?
Well,
slide one in.
I might have to do that. I've got some ideas of the way to look at the race, how it shakes out, what the implications are going to be. So I'll figure something out, and it'll probably be really tight, and I'll get it in probably about 8:59.
Yeah.
And then, actually, I'm planning to maybe pop over to the Arrow and Loon where Hurtin' for a Blurtin' is having his post-election party. So that's probably where I'll wind
There's
up.
a lot of good local beers at the Arrow and Loon.
Oh,
so that's an
yeah.
excellent.
What other
excellent
good
spot.
restaurants do you enjoy now that you're living in the Glebe? There's a couple of new spots here and there, I think, but...
There are. I haven't gotten to that many of them, unfortunately. I'm just down the street from Vaughn's and Flippers,
Yep.
which are good. I mainly stick to the pubs. I like to hop over to the corner or Irene's. Irene's is a great place and
Yeah.
surprisingly good food. You look at it, you think this is where you just
Great
go to
breakfast
pound
there,
boards
yeah.
and stuff, but no.
Brunch, rather.
Yeah, and great staff as well.
Yeah.
They're one of those businesses that really wants to be a part of the community, which is lovely.
So let's get into the election then. Why do you think this election matters? What do you think are the most important issues as a whole going into the next 4 years? Because it's a lot different than 4 years ago.
All right, this election matters because of the change that we're going to have. I know you talked about how Watson is probably going to walk away from it, and deservedly so, I guess. But we've got, I believe, 6 councillors leaving, so that's a huge change. We had a lot of new councillors last time, so we're going to have a lot of first or second term councillors for this council. So that could really change the dynamic of council, and that could really have an effect on the way we're going. The issues that we're seeing are both fairly big and fairly small. Garbage has come up a lot. People, a lot of candidates are pushing for going back to weekly garbage. A lot of people are angry about the green bin program. I don't think this issue is actually going to have as much traction as the attention it's getting, partially because there's only so much we can do.
Yeah.
Contracts are signed. The people who want to go back to weekly garbage want incineration as well, but for incineration you have to have a 60% diversion of garbage. We're only at 51% right now. If we ditch the green bin program, we're never going to be able to get to incineration, so it's just going to be more dumps. So that's one of those issues that's taken up a lot of time, but really isn't going to have as much of an impact on the city going forward. Out in the rural areas, roads are a big issue. There's a lot of sense in rural communities that they're getting kind of ignored, that they're getting the short end of the stick of amalgamation. And there is some truth to that. Their roads aren't kept up as well as city roads often are. And there's often not enough of a shoulder for cycling or for cars to pull off in emergencies. And these are big issues. And again, these are just sort of the day-to-day issues.
You got a lot of big vehicles traveling those roads too.
Exactly.
With farm equipment and whatnot.
Exactly. So. There's going to be a lot of wear and tear. So that's one of the big issues for the rural wards. The other issue is basically creeping suburbia. Towns like Manotick are getting transformed. As you go further out and you get to like Osgood and these areas, they want to try to keep their character. They want to keep their community intact. They don't want to just become another exurb.
Yeah.
So there's a big issue of pushing back against development. And development is a big issue within the city as well, because we're looking at so many intensification projects. And it's a big issue for anyone downtown or downtown adjacent like Kitchissippi, Somerset.
That's right.
Obviously in Capital Ward we've seen it with the Lansdowne project that we're getting towers, we're getting condos. And this is a good thing development-wise. This is going to make the city more sustainable, and it's going to make government and infrastructure cheaper in the long run than having just endless sprawl. But it really changes the face of Ottawa.
Yeah.
And it's something that people could really don't like, because they like the building.
Change.
Yeah, no one likes change. You like your community, but you've got to realize that change is going to happen. So for a lot of people, it's about finding the person who can properly manage the change.
Yeah.
That's a big issue, for instance, in Kitchissippi.
And for people to voice their opinions as well, right? Like people need to, a lot of people in the community, whenever all these changes do come up, people can voice their opinion, which
they can, but sometimes there's been a big criticism of the planning process that it's not really responsive.
About it a couple of times.
Yeah, they have all these like open houses and Q&A sessions, but they've kind of already made their decision, and it's really just people can go and complain to get it off their chest, but not that much happens.
Yeah.
Now, we've got a lot of community design plans that are being developed, and these CDPs are really important to maintaining the character of our neighborhoods while also allowing for the growth that we need as a city. Those get much more community input when they're putting them together. It can take 1 or 2 years to put together a CDP, which is good. It should take time, but planning rolls on, and a lot of times people, there's this sort of sense that the planning process, everyone's going to have their input, You're going to get to say something, but it's going to be like, okay, wait.